history. It shapes us. Whether it be for better or for worse, it has the power to change the fate of nations. But there always lingers the ever-burning question, what if? What if the 13th Amendment was never passed and African Americans remain slaves to this day? What if the Titanic had completed its maiden voyage? It's safe to say, if he made that ultimate decision, it would have put the entire world in a different place than it is today, and not necessarily a good one. Today, we examine that question further. We will examine George Washington's decisions as the precedent of presidents, and how it would have affected the rest of the world around us. I'm Todd Sherman, and this is History Rewritten. America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. One of the most influential nations of the past 4 centuries, the USA has inspired many others to follow in its footsteps. Of course, its origins were not so glamorous. We all know America was dominated by the tyranny of the British monarch, George III. The colonists of early America were treated horribly in this time, forced to pay taxation without representation, and were left with little to no freedom. Revolution was all but inevitable. Leading the Patriots to war was none other than George Washington. We all know him for being the spearhead of the colonial militaristic forces. Early battles were not kind to the Patriots. The Battle of Lexington claimed the lives of 8 colonists, wounding 10 others. However, this was merely the beginning. Valley Forge, 1777. Washington and his troops are forced to make camp in this frozen wasteland. Food is scarce and morale is low. The amassed colonist militia was on the brink of collapse. But not all gave up hope. Washington kept the army together with his determination against all odds. His patience was rewarded with the arrival of Baron von Steuben, who trained the threadbare militiamen into skillful soldiers. September 3rd, 1783. The Battle of Yorktown has concluded with a total British surrender, and the Treaty of Paris has been signed, ending the Revolutionary War and securing American independence. George Washington, having led the majority of the war, was the clear-cut choice to rule the newborn nation. The people cried out for Washington to take the throne and be their king, but he refused, instead opting to become a president. But we aren't here to explain what actually happened. On this day, Washington would take the crown and become king of America.
If you think about it, it wouldn't be out of Washington's character to do something like this. He was a people's leader, and this is what the people wanted. How could he have refused?
With every new nation comes, in turn, a new set of laws to follow, thus leading to the creation of one of the most influential and important documents in our history, the U.S. Constitution. The Constitution gave us the blessings we have come to know today, the freedom of speech, religion, and our right to peaceful protest. The dreams that were fought for by our forefathers have now finally been realized. However, as George Washington becomes king, the Constitution that we know today would not be so. King Washington would impose similar laws to the original Constitution, but in favor of a more centralized government, he would severely limit the rights we have today, removing important sections such as the checks and balances, the right to bear arms, and, more importantly, the right to vote. With the people's inability to choose their leaders, corruption of the political body was certain, for the next king will be Washington's own heir, and though Washington himself was a benevolent ruler, beloved by all, this does not mean his later generations will follow the same path of radiance. April 12th, 1861, King George Washington III has imposed a new taxation policy that has forced the entire peasant class into poverty. Abraham Lincoln, a man from humble beginnings, has rallied his fellow peons to revolt against the tyrant king. This day would mark the start of a different, but all too similar, civil war. King Washington III has been slain, his overconfidence being his downfall. Much would need to be done to set America on a new path, but it would begin by doing away with the old imperialistic monarchy and replacing it with a democracy, with Abraham Lincoln as its president. And so, today we have learned how a single decision can change the fate of an entire nation. I'm Todd Sherman, and I thank you for joining me on this episode of History Rewritten.